turbo truck, here we come. What up, YouTube? We back with another video. You see this red truck behind me. It's been on the channel before. I think I did a quick time lapse of installing the engine. Well, that engine, no bueno.
No bueno.
But we're throwing an On3 turbo kit and a triple pump fuel system in. It's getting this On3 turbo kit here. So y'all stay tuned, follow along. We got turbo kit going in. We got a triple pump fuel system, Holley high ram. The motor is already assembled. I'm not sure who, he bought it off of somebody on Marketplace. It was already a built motor. It looked fresh, looked decent. We put some Outlaw race engines, ported cylinder heads on, ARP head studs, and you know, just all the other goodies that go in, a nice cam, true and upgrade, all that. So y'all stay tuned. Let's get this truck done, man. Getting the motor prepped, ready to go in. Got some ported heads. What's up, mama?
You got your head stuck in a cone?
Let's get it dropped in here.
One eternity later.
All right. Got the wire harness out the way. Got all the accessories out of the way. Let's go ahead and start lowering this thing down. Can come back just a tad. Not too much, don't want to grab the firewall. Let's come forward just a little bit. Pull this bolt out of here real quick. Just like that. Motor's rested in there. I'm about to get it, go up in the air, get the trans mated to the motor, and get everything tightened down there. Got the tank removed and all the factory fuel lines. It's getting a Holley high ram. Well, this one's gonna be crazy, but let's go ahead and get up in the air real quick. Only problem is the 480 swap cross member. You can see when I had the trans sitting in there, the engine wouldn't go all the way in, so I just put it on the transmission jack, got the engine in place, bolted the engine down to the frame, and then I got a couple of bolts in the bell housing on both sides. That way I could see, and this is how off it is. So I'm gonna look into that, get that figured out. It could be whatever mount that's on here. I'm not even sure. This kind of came with the transmissions. All right, let's fast forward like 4 days. You can see coming from putting the engine into Holley high rams on and everything else. So I'm gonna walk you guys through everything that we've done with the truck so far. I didn't record most of the process. I was just focused on getting it done.
Slacking off in there.
I wanna show you guys pretty much close to final results. We're about 3/4 of the way there. So you guys can finish the truck up with me, hear it run for the first time, and then we'll throw it on the dyno and see what kind of power it puts down. Truck should make about 700, so it's got a pretty overkill fuel system, but if you ever put a bigger turbo on it in the future, it'll definitely pick up some power. We need O2 sensor wiring, drive shaft, and a couple other little sensors. We're still getting the O2 sensor wires figured out. This is bank 1 O2 sensor, so the truck was always running on, where's bank 2 at? Right here. Was always running on only bank 2. Bank 1 was never plugged up, so we're getting that figured out. See, we got the Motion Raceworks catch can mounted over here on the firewall, and then we'll have the oil fill cap for one of the breathers, and then we got the other one going to the far side of the valve cover over there. Both dash 10 lines. Got the spark plug wires on, turbo manifold with the down pipe. Got the wastegate, and everything is plumbed with the nice plastic lines. Got the fuel pressure regulator. Got the crossover lines done. Feed lines done. See, everything comes down the firewall and then runs to the back of the tank in the truck. We got a dash 8 feed with a dash 6 return on the truck. All the front accessories on, water pump, AC compressor. See, we're able to retain the AC line. They just tell you just got to bend it down slightly to get out of the way of the downpipe. Got all the heater hoses and everything connected. Got a 4L80 in the truck. So we got a nice low car dipstick for it. Got the On3 intercooler mounted. Went ahead and riveted on that stock crash bar or whatever part of the frame of the truck, whatever it is. Riveted both sides, and then we made a little bracket for the top side just to hold for extra support. But got some rivets in the frame, and that's what's holding the transmission cooler in. And then we got the lines running down all the way to the side of the transmission with some AN fittings. When we go up in the air, we'll check that out right now. Got this nice Nitrous Express sells this. If you guys are ever doing anything and you need 3 different triggers on a relay, man, this is the way to do it. We got the hob switch for the third pump. Got both pumps on at all times. Third pump comes on with the hob switch once it sees a certain amount of boost. But yeah, we got injectors, cleaned up a lot of the original wiring. Just stuff was pretty much butchered. As you can see, those O2 sensors there. One thing on the kit that we have to modify is the turbo kit specified for a plastic stock intake. And since we have the Holley high ram on here, the blow-off valve was actually hitting the fan. I'm gonna go ahead, throw the truck up in the air. You guys could check out the Snow Performance fuel system, the fuel lines and everything like that. And then we'll throw some oil on this thing and try to get it fired up. So here's a look now. We got the correct cross member. The mount was correct. It was just the cross member was for a newer truck. So we got that situated. As you can see, we got the crossover tube, second wastegate down here. Just need the O2 sensor up there, but we're trying to figure out the wiring. As you can see what it looks like. This is what we're working with here. And this is a bank 2 O2 sensor. So gotta find the bank 1 O2, get that wired in. See the tranny lines on some AN fittings. Got the downpipe. Just had to modify the truck right there to clear the clamp. That way it doesn't vibrate too bad, make any noises, but everything fits up pretty nice. Need to get a drive shaft made. Here is the Snow Performance fuel system. It's got a dash 10 coming out, and then we wire it down to an 8 to feed both rails. Got a dash 6 return. As you can see, that Snow Performance stamp right there. If you guys have a truck, I think it's like 04 or 05 to 2019, they have that triple pump drop-in in-tank. Just gotta modify the leveler, get all that working right. So we're getting the rest of this connected here, but you can see we got the fuel lines running along with the wiring all nice and loomed up. We got the Y here. They run up, tuck up and go. Stay away from all the exhaust and the heat. Clear of the tire. Got the trigger all wired up. One step closer. Go ahead and get these battery terminals swapped out real quick. And just like that, got both of the terminals swapped over. So we're gonna go ahead now and get the trans cooler wired up, the fan on there. Hook a relay up, get a trigger going from in here. Finish up the rest of the little stuff. Here's the first start on this thing. Got the relay mounted right here. There's a factory bolt location. So I got the relay mounted, Got the positive hooked up here. This is for the boost controller. I was actually wiring that up. But we got the trigger going into the fuse box, and then we got the positive, negative on the battery. You put the key in ACC. We live in Arizona, so we're gonna let that trans cooler run. You hear the fan is on. It's pulling correct direction as it should. This is a used boost controller. These are some of the wire ends that they were using before, so we're gonna go ahead and cut those off and use the proper stuff. I have the boost controller mounted right here on the firewall, and you can see the negative, positive there. They had it tied to this end, but it's super long, so I'm gonna just cut this back, attach the wires back, get everything hooked up. Well, we're not doing the math. We're actually doing intake air temp, so we got to take 2 wires out of this harness here. So I'll just look at the schematics and see. I believe it's the brown and the black wire. Got the expansion tank all plumbed. Got everything running up. Radiator over to the bypass under there. You can see it runs next to the throttle body, just out of the way of everything. That way we don't have to deal with nothing burning up. This is actually out of like a 90 to 2002, 2003 Mustang, but it fits perfectly between the fender bolt holes. And we just made a nice bracket that goes from the frame up to the last little tab there. That way it's a nice solid with the weight of the coolant that's gonna be in there. Since the factory one hits, you have to get a different coolant reservoir. You can see we got all the boost controller wires teed up. We got the wastegate down at the bottom that I showed you guys earlier. So all that is, I mean, pretty much is close, but on these type of cars, it's all the little things that take the longest. All right, so we got the O2s figured out. My brother got those wired in on both sides. And then we got a file from the tuner. So we're loading that now on the computer. So once that's loaded up, we'll go ahead and fire this thing up for the first time. We're waiting for the charge pipe to come, but I just want to see if I can just get it idling, make sure there's no fuel leaks. We did all new fuel lines, make sure there's no oil leaking nowhere, nothing like that. So yeah, we're just waiting. We just got the intake air temp in a tube real quick, just so it has some sort of reading. But we took the charge pipe to PRK so they can weld the blow-off valve in, and then we'll get all that connected and then send some logs to the tuner. Flashing that computer. Let's go ahead and try to fire it up. Nope. Let me give it some throttle real quick. Let's see if I can give it some throttle. All right, let's try another file again real quick. This one should work. All right, let's go ahead and try to start it up. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. This is the mechanic that did it right here. Oh, he got the tool in his hand. You the one who did it, LJ? You fixed this truck? Yeah? So it was running, and it's leaking fuel out of the diaphragm here. So yeah, we're gonna need a different fuel pressure regulator. This one is no bueno. Leaking fuel right out of here. That's the vacuum port for the boost reference, which we have a vacuum line to go to it, but we got to set the base pressure first, and that's what we were trying to do. But with it pissing out there, we just shut the truck off. So we'll get that figured out, and then we'll jump back to it. Getting the system pulled down right now. Nice little Mako vacuum tool. You guys probably seen it on the channel before, but this ensures that we have no coolant leaks anywhere in the system, anything like that. So we'll just get all the air out. Look at the hoses.
Sir. Sir!
So what you want to see is when you stop this, you just want to make sure that the vacuum doesn't retract back over. That'll show that you have a leak somewhere in the system. Damn, I'm good.
Pretty good.
Damn good.
We'll let it sit for a minute, make sure we don't have any leaks in the system, and then we'll get some Dex Cool mixed in here. Still holding. Let it go for about another 2 minutes or so. Got our bucket of coolant here. We're gonna go ahead, now that we know we got no leaks, gonna fill this thing up. All right, we're getting it all filled up. And slowly but surely. Got the boost controller wired up. Going to the fuse box here. Straight to the battery. We don't have a gauge pod yet, but got the boost controller right there. So get a gauge pod mounted. Still waiting on the AFR gauge, fuel pressure regulator. Got the kids over there, August, Anastasia, watching, learning. You about to build that motor next to you right there? Yeah? All right, let's put it together. Come on. You got a pin number 22 and 23 with the blue and the red wire, but on their schematics you got to pin them to the ECU for the vehicle speed sensor. The face back on the connector. I'm gonna go ahead and hook it back up to the computer. 4080 wiring done. Still waiting on the charge pipe to come in, but just quick checking live data. See if we got the O2 sensors, bank 1 and 2 reading. Short-term fuel trim. Looks like it is. All right, so the customer bought a replacement one. Pulled the one off that we had there. So we'll get the fittings put back in it. And just like that, got everything all tightened down. Dash 8 and dash 6 return. Got the charge pipe back. All right, so we got the blow-off valve welded up. We got everything connected. Got the vacuum line running. T's off right there. Got a hard line on this one. Got the intake air temp sensor all plugged up and zip tied out the way. So we're gonna start it up, check for leaks, make sure we don't got nothing going on, and then we'll send a log over to the tuner. Got a new file over, loading it now to see how everything's running. Valve in there. Has a small exhaust leak right off the downpipe, but I'm gonna address that. I just heard it now. It's got great oil pressure. Both of the O2s are reading, short-term fuel trims. Remember, we had to rewire those back in. No leaks. Probably let some air in, huh? Keep that there for protection. That way it doesn't get damaged when we're leaning over working on things. You can hear the truck sounding great. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the truck off. Stop this file. We're gonna go ahead, save it, and we're gonna send it off to the tuner and see what he has to say. And so we got another file loaded. See, we got the blow-off valve open. Turbo spinning. Looking good underneath. Another one almost ready to hit the dyno, just like that. Just got the drive shaft installed from Arizona Drive Shaft. So now we can fill the transmission up and drive this thing under its own power. Pretty much we got everything else done. So let's go ahead and get the car lowered back down, and we'll fire this thing up. Gonna just cycle it through. Battery is charging, by the way. When the customer first brought the truck in, it always had that battery light on, but it's charging. Gonna run it through to the gears and get the transmission completely full of fluid. Every time with these lower trucks, you gotta jack it way up. Negative 13 on the vacuum. Going reverse. Oh, we are moving. Oh, and we died out. It's not tuned yet, so I'm just trying to make it around the block under its own power. Nothing crazy. Now we just got to double check over all of our work, have my brother look over everything. We'll get the truck cleaned up, and then it's going to go off to the dyno. First drive was a success. All right, y'all, so that'll wrap up this video on the On3 single turbo install for this 05 GMC with a HD front end conversion. Hopefully this week the car will get dynoed, and then I'll just throw a short video in with a few runs of this thing on the dyno. Just to see what kind of power numbers it makes. Appreciate y'all watching, man. Stay tuned for more to come on the channel.